Hi and welcome to our long overdue video on how to divide your dahlia tubers before you plant them. Okay, so before we start, people always want to know, why do we do this in the spring and not in the fall? So let's start with that. The main reason is that dahlia tubers are not like potato tubers. This is an important distinction. So on a potato tuber, if you've ever noticed, when they sprout, there are eyes all over the tuber. If you leave that potato in the pantry for too long, it can sprout anywhere there's an eye. And those eyes are all over the individual tubers. But with dahlias, if you look at this big clump right here, and these were overwintered up in our loft, you'll see that there are some really great sprouts on them, but look, they're all close into the crown. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sprouts on there that look great. But if you were trying to divide this puppy in the fall, you would have no idea where it's going to sprout. And the problem with that is you may not get any eyes on the tubers that you cut. So this is why we need to wait until they actually sprout. Basically, they're telling you when they're ready to be divided. So as my dad used to say, measure twice, cut once. Very important thing before you start. In other words, just make sure you try to figure out where you're going to cut. Because once you start cutting, you've really got to be pretty bold with this and just keep going with it. It's not a finesse job, it's definitely a make a decision and go with it job. So take a look around. This one's fairly obvious. I think we can see quite nicely that there's a good line down the middle here. We've got sprouts on this side, sprouts on this side. It may or may not be quite that easy with the one that you have. The other thing you need is a good, sharp, chunky knife. Preferably a serrated knife, I think, is easiest. I like my steak knife here, but you could use a serrated bread knife, anything really. Once you've made your decision, the key thing is follow through. So it's not an exact science, but you just got to go for it. So we're going to start right down the middle here. Okay, look at that. We got 2 good pieces right here. Both of these have got several eyes on them, several sprouts on them. So we're in good shape. Now, when you're cutting, you probably will lose some tubers. You might. Don't panic. The tubers are just storage for the dahlia, food storage. If they come off and they don't have any eyes on them, you're really not losing anything. So as long as each section that you cut, each division does have several tubers on it, you're fine. So don't panic when they fall off, okay? Here we've got one that I think we might even be able to divide maybe one more time. You really need to pay attention to where these little things are coming from, because they're not always coming from the spot on the tuber that you expect. So make sure you can see. If you look at this one, you can actually see they're kind of coming from underneath right there, even though on the front they look like they're coming from somewhere else, but back here you can really get a good idea of where they're coming from. So I think if we divide, you can kind of see here, this guy's coming from this side of the whole crown, this one's coming from over here. If we cut down the middle, we can probably get one more division out of this. There we go. Okay, so this guy right here, we've got a nice sprout on there, several tubers. A couple of nice sprouts on here. some good tubers still attached, all beautiful. So there we are. This is how to divide your dahlias.